From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
What's up, world? It's the one and only Pop DBI. Man, oh man, it is one of those days today. Crazy, but let's go ahead and jump into it real quick. No time for too much talking here. Win last night on Monday Night Football in Indy, 20-3 over the drowning Colts and clinch a playoff spot. Will they make a run in the second season? You know, I talked about this last week on my show, on this show to be exact, and I told you guys that it looked like to me that this team was going to be able to make a run here at the end of the year where they were going to be able to sweep out, possibly finish up the season just even better than possibly the 6th seed. They could walk in here and be the 5th seed, whomever that winner is going to be. I know that they would love to play Tennessee again. Worst beatdown of the season, and that was shocking in a sense as well too, because at the time the Jaguars were really not on the same level as the Chargers. I was all over the Jaguars that day simply because I had the intel that kind of forced that situation going into that game, and that could have almost game against Kansas City. They came back around and he was hurt. It was pretty bad. It was very ugly, to be honest with you. And shown that they can win the close games, and they shown that they can go ahead and blow out teams as well season long. Yeah, they had a 34-24 win against Houston, but that's a square game. Completed the job. They completed the mission for their best win. That was their best defensive effort all season as well too, because they only gave up 10 first downs last night. They gave up no third downs last night as well too. Last night, the Colts, they only allowed 173 yards. 104 in the air, because, you know, it's almost like automatic the way that the yards are better. Also, they had 7 sacks last night. That was absolutely a little beat up last night. They gave up 4 sacks on Herbert. They're going to have to clean that up, and they're going to have to get a little bit more discipline. They had 6 penalties last night that went for 60 yards. But it didn't make a difference. The Chargers turned this into a very thorough game, and the one time they did have a 4th down situation, they went ahead and they executed. It was just a great game in general. It was just all good. But when you see 2 turnovers in the game, you say, well, they're gonna have to clean that up. But as long as their defense is playing like that, the Chargers shouldn't have any issues, man. And the Chargers defense has really stepped up to the plate. This team has only given up 34 points in the last 3 weeks after kind of having a little bit of, they're kind of going through it there when they had dropped 3 out of 4 at that point, and it didn't look too good for the Chargers. So, all in all, the Chargers have themselves in a good spot right now. They're feeling good about themselves. Their fans are feeling good. And a lot of people who are looking for a dark horse in the AFC playoffs are feeling really good about the Chargers' chances at being that team this year. But we will see. It's gonna take a while here. So we'll see exactly how it goes for these boys. And I think everything should work out pretty good for the Chargers. They are going to the playoffs, and will they be able to dance in the second season? We will see. But I think that these next 2 weeks will be telling on what Chargers team to expect going into the playoffs, and will they go ahead and try to start resting guys a little bit. I know one thing, they might want to win the Battle of SoFi as well too, because that's bragging rights right there too between those two franchises. But all in all, let's go ahead and move on to our next topic in hand, which is going to be the Birmingham Bowl. The Birmingham Bowl is today. It's actually going to be going down in the next 25 minutes or so. So as soon as I get done with this, I'll go ahead and I'll tweet out the bets that I have for this. But all in all, we do have ourselves a pretty even game. You have a 9-3 Coastal Carolina team going against Eastern Carolina, who's 7-5 coming into the game. Much improved from last season. East Carolina is starting to kind of get into the groove of things. But East Carolina today, it's an over under 66. Now, from 4-7-1 against the spread, then as an underdog this year, which is rare and against the spread. Now, versus non-conference this year, they're 1-1-1 non-conference on the spread, but when it comes to straight up, they're actually in their 12 games, they've went over 7 times. And non-conference still has the look of a team that's much better than what they're saying on the spread. 4 against the spread as a favorite. Now, versus the non-conference, they're undefeated as well. 7 times. They're 5-2 straight up. Now, versus non-conference, under 6 times. They went over 6 times. Versus non-conference, same deal. I like Coastal Carolina to continue their championship game against Troy, but Troy was light years ahead of everybody in the will come into this one and shock the system a little bit and at least cover, but this can be a nice little dog play for the dog bettors as well too. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it checks out. But the Birmingham Bowl, which will be going down in the next 20 minutes or so. So you guys be ready for that. The Ticket Smarter Birmingham Bowl. And it's actually going to be a they're saying 2:45 kickoff, but I'm reading that it's a 3:15 kickoff. So pretty much, let me go ahead and show you guys exactly what the tickets are looking like for this one, since that game's already about to start in a few minutes. So pretty much we have Coastal with the +7, we have the under 34 first half, and then we have Coastal with the +155 first half, and then we have Coastal with the over 28 team total as well too. So let's see how it goes. Let's see how it checks out, but let's have some fun today as well too. And hopefully it does go well for us in that regard. So let's go ahead and jump into our next topic in hand, and that's going to be the guaranteed Rape Bowl preview with Wisconsin coming in 6-6 and a struggling Oklahoma State team coming into this game 7-5. Oklahoma State was the number 8 team in the nation, and then they just fell apart there at the end of the year. So, what to expect in this game today? What to expect? I say what to expect is two teams that should be able to, you know, figure out ways to just get themselves in the right headspace. You know what I mean? And I think that Wisconsin really does have the advantage here because they're always really good in bowl games. Like we can't deny that this team is always super good in bowl games, and that's one trait that is hard to replace with certain teams a lot. You know what I mean? But Birmingham, it's all and this game is in Phoenix today, so it's not a weather issue going on in this game. So there's a lot of things that you just look at and you tell yourself that this should be one of those games where you got a team in Wisconsin, the Badgers, who had high hopes this year, and you had another team in Oklahoma State who had high hopes this year. So this is big for both their teams because I know they have seniors that want to go out on a high times. They're 5-5 against the spread in that regard. Now, straight up as a favorite, they're 6-4 versus non-conference. Times. And in their non-conference games, they went under in 2 out of 3 of those games. Now, Oklahoma State, as I said before, they come in here as a team that was struggling coming into this even doable, but they did lose their last 4 out of 5 games, and they were really bad situations as well too. Once their total fall off started, because this team at one point they had won their first 5 games of the season, and they came into the TCU game number 8 in Texas in a close one, and then they just fell apart. Next weekend went to Lawrence and got whooped by the lowly Kansas Jayhawks, who actually had a season over Iowa State, and then they got cooked in the Bedlam game against Oklahoma. At this point now, to where they want to get their face up off the ground, or they just want to just would expect this team to be on their P's and Q's going into this game today as well, and get themselves a nice win here. So let's see how it goes. Let's see how it shakes out. And but we have our first game for tomorrow, and that's going to be Duke in Central Florida. Duke is a 3.5-point favorite coming into this game as well too. This is the Military Bowl. This bowl does mean a lot to the sports community as well too. So this should be another great matchup between two teams that have really good records coming into the game. Expected to win like 4 games this year. They went above and beyond expectations. Now Central Florida comes into the game 7-6, and you have as a dog, they've only been a dog twice this year, and against the spread and straight up, they're 1-1. Versus non-conference against the spread, they're 3-1, and straight up, they're 2-2 versus non-conference. Now, when it comes down to over and under, surprise, surprise, they've actually went conference in those 4 games. They went under 3 times. So UCF is defending AAC champions as well too. They got a very, very good win. Up the AAC championship. My bad. They've been a favorite 6 times. They went 3-3 as a favorite against the spread. Is a favorite. They're 5-1 against the non-conference. They're 3-1 straight up. Have one push, and then when it goes down to the non-conference, with this one, I like Duke a lot, and I think that Duke should go game going into next season. That this team might not be all the way done on and do some things that Duke has never done before, possibly winning. So you never know, but it could start here, but this one will work out in a sense for us as well too. About the Lakers who play against the Magic tonight, we'll stay to the Lakers, and then we'll Premier Sports Betting Show, the PrimeTime Angles, live with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the PrimeTime Capper.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners and I'll Have Another and Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
Tune into Big Wave Boxing every week with a brand new guest with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the PrimeTime Capper, getting the best boxing stories, best boxing angles, and the truth when it all comes down to the sweet science. Tune in to Big Wave Boxing on the Prime Wave Media channel on YouTube.
Pop DiBiase, the PrimeTime Capper. So it's going to be those Lakers, and the Lakers are over here. It's a road game as well too for the Lakers. So Lake Show looking like because they've lost 4 games in a row. When I break down this game tonight, you see LeBron out here about to go against a team that he's used to beating up on a little bit. But one of LeBron's worst playoff seasons was against Orlando when they had all those high hopes in Cleveland, and Orlando kind of spoiled it and wound up messing up the NBA's push for the Kobe Bryant LeBron final that never came to fruition. But all in all, they tried. It just LeBron just could never do his part of the job, though, in my opinion. I feel like you have to keep Banchero in check. He's coming in here averaging 21.2 per game, points per game. And he's literally a shoo-in for a Rookie of the Year. Orlando's having their best month of the season as well, too. They've won 8 out of their last. They've won 8. They're 8-4. They've actually won 8 out of their last 9 games as well, too. And that was a 6-game winning streak, and they've won their last 2 games as well, too. Now, when it comes down to being at home, they're 9-9 straight up against the spread as a favorite. They've been a favorite 3 times, and straight up, they're 1-2. So It's either they win or they lose in that spot. Now, when it comes down to the straight up versus the West, they are 6-5 against the spread. They're 19-14-1, one of the best teams in the NBA. Now, when it comes to the spread at home, they're 12-6 at home, and against the West, they're 7-3-1 against the spread. Now, over under in their 34 games, they've went over 17 times. That's kind of surprising for a team that scored like 70 and 80 a bunch of times this season as well, too. Now, when it comes down to the over and under at home, they've actually went over in 10 of their 18 games at home. And against the West, in those 11 games, they've went over in 9 of them. So the Magic kind of licking their chops a little bit because they're playing against a West Coast team, and they have been playing the West Coast very well, and they've been playing very well at home this month as well, too. So they have a lot of things working in their favor coming into this game. So there's no big surprise why they're the favorite. The Lakers are in bad shape right now. At one point, they had a winning record this month. They were 5-4, and now they've lost 4 in a row. So now they're 5-8. AD's out until at least late January at the earliest. I know that they're probably trying to say that he'll be back that they'll look at things in the next week or two, but that means that he's going to need another week or two to rehab, and then probably another week to just go ahead and be in practice before they actually clear him. So, it's going to be some time. So LeBron got a lot of heavy lifting to do. Straight up, first the East, they're 6-7 this year. That last loss coming to the Eastern Conference team coming to Charlotte, a loss that you could say you didn't see coming, but the writing was a little bit on the wall for a team that had a guy that's from California whose brother played for the Lakers as well too, and they had all these dreams of being a part of the Lakers franchise, and that didn't happen. So they're always going to take it out on the Lakers. Then you have the Lakers 12-21 against the spread. On the road against the spread, they're 5-12. Versus the East, they're 5-8 against the spread. Now, when it comes down to over under, the Lakers are one of the higher teams in the league. When it comes to this, they've actually went over in 11 of them. And against the Eastern Conference in their 13 games, they've went over 9 times. Over, in my opinion. I think that this game actually doesn't work out like that. I think that early starts are always the norm here in Orlando. The games always start at 7. It will pick itself up as we go. But this is a good opportunity for the Lakers or Orlando because Orlando has people who have confidence behind them now. Checks out, but the Lakers are I'm not gonna say ain't going at some point. Like literally, they're gonna have to stop the losing and at the losing out at some point. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. There it is, state of the Lakers, and that's what we have. And man, we're moving a little slow today with the Tuesday night NBA here tonight. We had 10 games tonight. I got 5 of them to talk about to you guys. You have a 76ers team that's really playing well going into being 13-21. The Wizards will be at 4.5. These teams have split the season series. They have played game. The 76ers won the first game between these two teams. And games in a row after starting the month off losing the first two. Straight up as a favorite, they're 15-6 straight up versus the East. 12-1 against the spread as a favorite. They're 13-7-1, and against games they've won over 17 times, and in their 13 road games they've won over 8. 2 out of 3, and they did get a good win over the 111. Now, straight up at home, they're 8-7. Straight up as an under against the spread, they're 13-18-1. Against the spread at home, they're 5. Conference against the spread, they're 5-12-3. Now, over under in their under at home, they went over in 8 of those 15 games. So when I look at, expect that defense will not be something that's going to be priority. And I think that, with the way the Wizards do play defense, which is pretty atrocious, this should be a good look for the 76ers tonight, who have been putting a lot of points on the board, and they've been giving up a lot of points at the same time, too. So the 225.5 seems like a hitter, and I think that they go for the third straight over in this series this season. Now, let's go ahead and move on to our next topic in hand, and that's going to be the Clippers and the Raptors. And the Clippers come in this game feeling themselves a little bit. The Clippers have really stepped it up. They're 20-15 right now, while the Raptors are 15-18. The Clippers are 7-5 this month, and they did come back last night. They were down 14 points with 3 minutes left to go in the game. They wound up winning that game in overtime, 142-131. Now, on the road, they are 9-8 against the spread and straight up. And then when it comes down to the straight up as a dog, they're 4-9, but straight up versus the East, they're 9-4. In 35 games, they've won over 18 times against the spread. I'm sorry. In 35 against the spread, they're 18-17. Sorry about that. And when it comes down to the spread as a dog, they're 6-7. And as a spread versus the Eastern Conference, they're 8-5. Now, over under in their 35 games, they've went under 21 times. And on the road, they've went over 11 times in their 17 games. So it's a tale of two stories for this team. Now, the Raptors come in here 4-8, but they have won their last 2 games in a row. 2 very good wins as well, too, beating the Knicks, who were on an 8-game winning streak, and beating the Cavs, who were on a 5-game winning streak and had the best record at home going into that game. So that's pretty good for the Raptors to bounce back after losing 8 in a row. So this team is 10-6 straight up at home. They're 10-8 straight up as a favorite. And then against the spread and straight up versus the Western Conference, they're 4-5. Now, against the spread, they're 17-16. Against the spread at home, they're 9-7. And in their 18 games against the spread as a favorite, they're 8-10. Now, in 33 games, they've went over 18 times. And at home, in their 16 games, they've went over 9 times. In this one, I do like what I see win the game, but I think the Clippers can cover in this game. You see the spread being a 3.5 to the Raptors, over under 218.5. The over is very hittable here as well, too, because the Clippers are coming off of a very, very crazy game with the Pistons last night. They may be a little tired. Shakes out, and we'll go from there. Just give me 1 second. Up. Okay, we're back. All right, so we move forward, and here we go. We have ourselves the Suns and the Grizzlies, and the Suns and the Grizzlies are 19. Suns coming here 19 and 15. From what I'm seeing, the Suns spread has went up to set this. The Suns coming here losers of their last three in a row. They're 4-9 in the month. Underdog, and then versus the West, they're 16 and 10 straight up. Again, now against the spread as a dog, they're 4 and 3. Versus the West as against the spread, they're 15 and 11. And then when it comes down to playing the over under, they've had 33 games. They've went under in 34 actually. They've went under in 17 of these games. So as they went under in 17 of them, and pretty much they've pushed in one of these games. So that's how it's shaking out, and that's how it's looking right here for this. So pretty much yeah, they've had 34 games. They've went under 17 times, but they have a push as well too. So that's why it's not even. And then when it comes down to being on the road in those 15 games, they've actually went over in 8 of them. So they're a team that can be really good on nights and then really bad on nights. But they're just like the Warriors. Great at home, bad on the road. It's just that simple. You got a Grizzlies team that's 8 and 3 in December. They've lost their last 3 out of 4 games as well too. They also had a bad loss to the Warriors on Christmas Day. They're 13 and 2 straight up at home. Now they own the best home win percentage in the NBA with the 13 and 2. They're 19 and 7 straight up as a favorite, and then they're 9 and 9 against the conference straight up. Now, when it comes down to the spread, they're 15, 15 and 2 in those 32 games. And against the spread at home, they're 11, 3 and 1. And against the spread as a fave, they're 13, 11 and 2. Now, versus the West, not so good. They're 6, 11 and 1 against the spread in that spot. So that gives the Suns bettors a little bit of a hope and wishes that this team can possibly cover tonight and win this game. Now you have the 14 there. Now, when it comes down to the over-under, they went under in 17 out of their 32 games. And when it comes to the over-under at home, they're not even in the 15 games that they've played. They're actually 7-7 each, and then they've pushed in one of the games. Have some good defense to it tonight. So I'm actually playing the under in this spot tonight. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out, and we go from there. All right. So pretty much we move forward. Grizzlies money line. That's a little heavy right there, though. You know, you're asking a lot for the Grizzlies to take care of their business, but I know that that's just paying. When you overpay, sometimes you're just paying for the insurance. Minus 330 is a big number, so I would suggest for that one to possibly be in your parlay, if anything. But I do understand if you want to throw it in there to get yourself a nice win tonight, it could work out for you. But sometimes you might overthink this thing and it might backfire on you. So it's a lot of so if you can't trust them to cover the game, I would say that it would be tough to take them on the money line. Because then you're going to be really sweating bullets over that one. But it's always a good play if you just want to go ahead and take your chances on a big number and just go ahead and get a win without sweating out, hoping they beat them by 9 or something of that instance. So it is what it is at the end of the day. We move forward. We have the Knicks and the Mavs tonight. They're meeting up again. We know that the Knicks absolutely got trashed by the Mavs earlier this month. They got beat by 21. They beat them up in the Garden. So we look at this one, and the Knicks coming here 8 and 4 after having an 8-game winning streak. They've lost the last 3 in a row. typical New York Knicks basketball. And straight up on the road, they're 10-6, pretty good record, much better than most think. And then they're 8-11 as a underdog this season, straight up. And then versus the West, they're 6-7 straight up versus the West. Now, when it comes down to the spread, they're 17-15-2 on the road against the spread in 16 games. They're 11-5, and against the spread as an underdog, they're 9-9-1. Now, versus the West, they're 7-6 against the spread. Now, when it comes down to the over and under, they've went under in 17 out of their 34 games. Once again, they have a push here. So they have more games that have went under than over. And when it comes down to the road over under, they've actually went under in 10 of those 16 games. So the Knicks come in here trying month of December. They've actually won their last 3 games in a row. Worked out very well for them. And then they beat up on the Lakers, who really just pretty quarter. So, you know, they scored 51 points on the Lakers. And that Mavericks team plays on a different level at home. And it shows. They're 13-5 at home. And then when it comes down to the spread, they're 12-20-2. The spread at East, they're 3-10-2. So this team is absolutely awful when it comes to the spread this season. But when it comes to winning games, they're good. They're 18-16 on the year. And just literally, they're still going through the motions of things, but they're not a high seed in the Western Conference either. They're actually damn near not even in the playoffs. And when it comes to their 34 games, they went over in 19 of those games. And then when it comes down to being a home team, they've actually went over in 11 of those 18 games. So when I look at this, it's really easy for me to say this to myself. This will be a very, very big over bet in a sense to playing, I would say, a upset special somewhat tonight with the Knicks. The +5 is a good number, but the Mavericks, I know I'm being a little risque tonight, but I just haven't liked how the Knicks looked in their last few games. I know this is going to be tough business, but all in all, though, I think I can trust the Mavericks tonight with the 5. I think the Mavericks can win this game by 6 or better. I actually have them winning by 10 or better, to be honest. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out, and we move forward from there. Let's go ahead and jump into our next game, which is going to be another good one. This is going to be the Kings and the Nuggets, and this game is going to be in Sacramento tonight. We do have a Kings team that's struggling a little bit, but they're trying to get it back together. And these are their first meetings of the season because they are playing a back-to-back in Sacramento as well, too. The Nuggets coming here 7-4 in the month of December, and they've actually won their last 11 out of 15 and are the first seed in the West as of today. Now on the road, they're 9-8. And as a favorite, they're 18-8. As a road fave, they're 7-5. And against the West, they're 17-7. All great numbers. Now against the spread, they're 14-18. Against the spread on the road, they're 6-11. As a favorite against the spread, they're 11-15. And then as a road favorite, they're 4-8 against the spread. So they go through the same thing that Dallas is going through. You win your games, but you don't cover. So that always makes you kind of a suspect team. Now, when it comes down to the 32 games they played in, they've went under in 17 of them. But on the road in their 17, they've went over in 10 of those games. Now, the Kings come in here 6-5 in the month of December. They lost their last game 125-111. They've dropped their last 2 out of 3 as well. They're 9-6 at home this season. They're 9-6 at home this year, straight up. They're 6-11 as an underdog, straight up. And then as a home dog, straight up, they're 3-3. Against the West this year, straight up, they're 6-6. Against the spread, they're 19-12. One of the best teams in the league in that regard. Against the spread at home, they're 9-6, just like they're straight up. And then when it comes down to being an underdog, they are 10-7 as the diggity dog as the underdog. Now, them at home as an underdog is looking a little like this. They're 4-2. So that should go into your notes tonight. And against the West, they're 9-3 against the spread. Now, when it comes down to the over-under, in their 31 games, they've went under 16 times. And when it comes down to their home games, they went over in 9 of their 15 games. So tonight, I'm going to go ahead and take the Kings to go ahead and get the win here at plus 140 as my dog of the day. So I do like Sacramento to go ahead and get a nice win over a Nuggets team that just seems like it's tough for them just to consistently beat on teams that they're supposed to beat on. They just don't do it. And I think tonight they'll run into a little bit of a team and a desperate team in the Kings that don't want to start on a bad losing streak, because once they start a losing streak, it gets pretty ugly for this team. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it checks out. But I do like the Kings tonight as the dog bet of the day in the NBA. So let's go ahead, move forward to your favorite subject, my favorite subject, talking tickets. And up first, we already talked about the Birmingham Bowl, so we'll talk about the guaranteed rate bowl to start off. We got 4.5 to Wisconsin for the full game. Then we're going to take Wisconsin money line first half minus 160. Then we go ahead and take the over 9 first quarter in this spot as well too. And then I love Wisconsin over 23.5. I think that team scores 30 or better tonight against a very, very bad Oklahoma State team coming into the game. But that means absolutely nothing. These guys are playing for pride. They're playing for a bowl. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it checks out. Now, tomorrow morning's bowl game between Duke and UCF, I got Duke with the money line minus 170, the over 31 first half, and then the plus half a point to UCF first quarter. So I'm expecting this game to be tied, UCF to kind of jump out on Duke, but then Duke gets it together as we go. The UCF under 31.5, we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it checks out. Now let's go ahead and jump into we got a short night here in college basketball, but I'm still going to throw you some games. We got a pick 4 here, 12-1, and Notre Dame is going to be -8 tonight. We got Texas A&M in a interstate game. I'm taking them with the -16 tonight. Then we also have Seton Hall in a Big East battle against Marquette. I like Seton Hall with the +7, but I also like Seton Hall with the money line as well too, the +255 in this spot. That could be a good number. It's Tuesday night as well too, on a night where there's not many teams playing, so anything goes in my opinion. And then you have South Carolina State, who's playing against Texas Tech, and I have them with the +31.5. This is a 12-1 ticket. Now let's go ahead and get to the end. We got 31-1, and I did give you guys where I was going with these, but these are the actual. This is the actual ticket. It is a 31-1 ticket. We have the over 225 76ers Wizards. Then we have the Clippers +4 tonight. The under 224.5 with the Suns and Grizzlies, the -5 to the Mavs, and then the Kings money line +140. That gives us a 31-1 ticket, and this should be a very, very profitable ticket for us tonight as well too. I see that bad boy hit. I truly do. So let's go ahead and pay attention to the numbers tonight, and hopefully we get that bad boy home as well to make things right as we roll into this new year. And we only got about 4 more days until the new year as well too, and now 3. So there it is. I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in. And this is the Premier Sports Betting Show, the Primetime Angles Live, with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Capper. And I'll be right back at you tomorrow with more bowl bets, more NBA, college basketball, all that good stuff. So you guys make sure to tune in for that. And once again, this is the Premier Sports Betting Show, the Primetime Angles Live, with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Capper. And as I always say, bet with your head, not with your heart. The movement is moving, and I am gone.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.